Manfred Mann from 1964 and Doo-Wah Diddy Diddy. All right, we have at this time and place in WIXY 1260 our first guest DJ. Guess who we have from Sirius XM?
Phlash Phelps.
Phlash Phelps, welcome to WIXY 1260.
Oh, it is so much fun to be here. It almost makes me feel like I'm in Cleveland. I wasn't in Cleveland just earlier today.
Yes, you were.
I did. I love going to Cleveland. How about those Indians? They are doing fantastic.
No kidding. There's our biggest fan, Lisa Jordan.
Yeah, they are the PHANTIST, because you know my O's didn't make it. They were eliminated. But I sure hope everything's going good at the Jake, now called the Prague.
There you go.
That's what I call it anytime I'm in Cleveland. I go over to the PHLATS. You go there?
That's great. Hey, would you do one thing for us?
Yeah.
Do your thing about the USA that you do in like 1 minute and 35 seconds.
Oh, yeah. You mean all across the USA from Glacier?
That's the one. So we know this really is indeed Phlash Phelps.
Oh, all across the USA, PHLA, let's see, Mexico to Canada, we are XM America, LA Sound to Puget Sound, 50 states it can be found. Maine, New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, Utah, Kansas, California, Arkansas, Louisiana, Minnesota, Indiana, Illinois, both Dakotas, New York, and the two Virginias, Massachusetts, Idaho, the Carolinas, and Ohio, Connecticut, Maryland, Nevada, Rhode Island, Mississippi, Wisconsin, Vermont, Michigan, Wyoming, Kentucky, Texas, Oregon, Missouri, Florida, Washington, Mexico, and Arizona, Iowa, Oklahoma, Colorado, Montana, Nebraska, and there's Alabama, Georgia, Jersey, Tennessee, Alaska, D.C., and Hawaii. I think that's all of them.
Did you say Utah?
Yeah, that's in there somewhere. I forgot where I put it originally. But
I didn't think I heard Utah.
Yeah, Utah. Utah is known for having more entry state signs.
Really?
They have 7 signs that are different when you enter the state of Utah.
Wow.
Name another state that has a different welcome to sign. 7 of them for Utah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, they made sure they did it for each area.
And you've been all over the U.S., haven't you?
Yeah, by the time I was 23, I had been in 49 states. When I was 29, I went to my 50th. And ever since 2006, I've been back to all 50 all over again.
And by the time that you hit the 50, how many stations have you worked at?
17 now. And that's
all?
Yeah, that's it. 17 stations.
Sorry.
That's not too bad. Yeah, sometimes I heard PHIRED a little too much. One time I had 5 stations in 13 months, and that was tough.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I really went through a lot. Then I went to the U.S. Virgin Islands, I went to Washington, and then I was lucky to be able to go to D.C. So I went from one Washington to the other Washington.
Right, yeah. And you've been on XM since they began?
Yeah, I was there a year before it began, 13 months before, and then we were ready to debut it. And our first day was going to be the day. It was the day after Paul McCartney's birthday, June 19th. Was the first day in 2001, so I'd already been there a year, and then we finally got it on the air in the fall, and ever since I've been there in the morning.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And you've always been on the 60s on 6 Morning Man?
Yep, I've always been there in the morning. I'm one of the only people that hasn't changed.
How many members in the fan clan now?
I think there's over 1,500. I make it tough because you want to be in the fan clan?
I think I already am.
Well, you can do it again. Say, I'll pour candle wax on my radio dial.
Oh, hey, wait, is this going to be a WIXY thing or what?
No one else comes close by a mile.
By a mile, right.
All right, Phlash is second to none. The competition bites the big one. Spit on the other station like a geyser. They're nothing but Phlash fertilizer. Now, kiss yourself in a place hard to reach and do the weird lip noise. Go, who now?
Now, how do you spell fertilizer?
PHERTLIZ.
Right. Exactly right.
PHLISA, PHLBS, PHNY, PHR, and PHR. I'm Sirius XM.
Very good.
Funny farm from Sirius XM.
Are you ready to intro a song here on WIXY 1260?
I guess whatever you like.
Here we go.
Phlash Phelps.
Yeah, we love it here in North Ohio. It is a fantastic place on the PHLATS. You like JJ? I love JJ. Let's do, but it's all right. You got it on WIXY 1260.
Good job. Thank you, man. Awesome. I've been dreaming about this for weeks now.
Oh, God.
Oh, this is great. Thank you. That's great.
Phlash.
Robert Palmer on WIXY 1260, Bad Case of Lovin' You. We have got a studio full of people, folks, here from our remote broadcast in Novi, Michigan. And the first person I'm going to talk to actually worked in Cleveland on WGAR. Say hello to Kevin O'Neill.
Thank you. Hello, Cleveland. I grew up in Cleveland. I went to St. Ed's High School, class of 1970. St. Bernadette's, class of 66, in case you have my grade school picture somewhere. And worked in Cleveland. Was very lucky to have worked with John Lanigan and the whole crew at the Big 1220 WGAR. Did the overnight show for 2 years before I went to Houston, and then ended up here in Detroit, Michigan in 1980. Right now I'm at WJR, which you can pick up in Cleveland on a good day. Well, pretty much any day. Yeah, any day. WDVD and Doug FM. I've been at several stations here in the Detroit area. I'm very lucky to have worked at 93.1, 94.7, 95.5, 96.3, 99.5, 100.3, 102.7, 105.1, and 107.1. So there we go. And there we go.
How do you remember all that?
Oh, filling out those W-2 forms. Oh, yeah. No, but it's great. It is so cool to be on the air right now in Cleveland. I actually remember the day that WIXY was born. WIXY had been WDOK, and they played beautiful music, and my dad used to love WDOK, and one morning he got up, and WIXY was on, and he said, "What the is going on here?" And then it was great stuff like Time Won't Let Me and all the cool stuff, and the great lineup of DJs, Johnny Canton, Johnny Michaels, and Dick Kemp, the Wild Child, and Jack Armstrong, Big Jack, God rest his soul, and just great Magic and Midnight, great radio memories. Yeah, WIXY's terrific, and it's so great that you're bringing it back, Ray. Wonderful.
We are thrilled that we're able to bring it back, Kevin. And let me ask you this. I understand that you can imitate a certain personality really well.
Well, for a while, Ray, I did work in Cleveland at WJW, back when call letters were just 3 letters and not 4 letters. Now, WJW played what they called middle-of-the-road music in the 60s, and a lot of parents listened to it whether they needed the sleep or not. WJW then went on, and I went on, and I ended up in Detroit, Michigan, and I attended Wade State University, which is better known as the Harvard of the Lodge Freeway. I want to leave you with this message. From my town, Motown, keep your feet on the ground, keep reaching for the stars, and in heavy traffic on the Lodge, keep your finger out of your nose.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's wonderful. Kevin O'Neill, everybody, thank you so much. Thank you. All right, now here's who's coming up next on WIXY.
Shotgun Tom Kelly, K-Earth 101.
9:37 in the nighttime on WIXY 1260 with a remote broadcast from Novi, Michigan. Here's Rare Earth, 1970. Let's celebrate.
Great. Thanks, Ray. Here.
Wasn't that great?
Here it is. I mean, I know this.
Rare Earth on WIXY 1260 from 1970, and I just want to celebrate. This is Ray King, along with the always lovely Lisa Jordan and Magic Mike, with their live direct remote from Novi, Michigan. And our next guest is a big name in radio. This is who we have up next on WIXY.
Shotgun Tom Kelly, K-Earth 101.
Shotgun Tom Kelly, welcome to WIXY 1260. Honored to have you.
Well, I got to tell you, there's no place like this place anywhere near this place, so this must be the place, WIXY 1260, baby. I'm telling you, it's a pleasure being here, and it's great to be here at the Art Vuolo birthday party, and Novi, Michigan, so far away from Cleveland, but man, it's I've listened to you guys in Hollywood. I work at K-Earth 101, as you just heard. And but it's really interesting listening to this great radio station that I've heard about so many years, and now I'm on it now. This is incredible.
Well, that's why I said welcome to WIXY 1260. Tell our fans what your big claim to fame was earlier this year.
That was about 4 months ago. I got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And if anybody would like to see what it looks like to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, all you have to do is go on your internet and go to walkoffame.com and then click on Hollywood Walk of Fame, and then you'll see a lady's feet, and she's dancing on the star. And then right under the lady's feet is a search bar. So just write shotgun in the search bar. That will take you to my page, and then you'll see one of my guest speakers, Stevie Wonder, who was at my star. And there's 2 videos. There's me and Stevie. That's an edited video. But if you scroll down and see the one video with my hand in the air, Click on that. You see the whole ceremony that happened April 30th, Tuesday, April 30th, at about 11:30 in the morning on Hollywood Boulevard at the corner of Hollywood Boulevard and La Brea. My star is the third one in.
That's amazing, Tom. Thank you. How long have you been on K-Earth 101?
16 years.
That's incredible. And whose place did you take?
The real Don Steele when he passed away.
That's big shoes to fill.
Yes, and my star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame is right next to the real Don Steele. They have the Deadhead Kids, they have the real Don Steele, and they have Shotgun Tom Kelly. So if you guys get out to Hollywood, go to the corner of La Brea and Hollywood Boulevard, and you'll see my star. But I ask you just one thing. If you're taking your dog, please curb your dog.
Well said, Tom. All right. Are you ready to talk up a song for us from Johnny Rivers?
Oh, absolutely.
Here we go.
Oh, this is one of my favorite Johnny Rivers songs. I love this, man. It's got the people in the background. We're talking about the seventh son on WIXY1260.
Everybody talking about the seventh son in the whole round world.
WIXY1260, the music station that's canned heat from 1968, on the road again. And we have yet another guest disc jockey. Guess who we have now?
John Records Landecker. WIXY.
We have the legend, John Records Landecker. John, welcome to WIXY1260.
It's great to be here. You guys sound great.
Thank you. We're trying to make it great.
I love it. I was a big fan of WXYZ when I was in high school. I used to listen to Joel Sebastian and Lee Allen, and I was in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and they simulcast the AM on their FM. That nobody was using the FM for
Right,
anything.
yeah.
So I'm fooling around with my dad's FM radio one night, and bang, here comes Lee Allen, crystal clear, good reception. So I just continued listening. I thought it was one of the greatest.
Great. Now, are you still on the air now?
Yeah, I'm on WLS FM in Chicago in the evening.
How long have you been in Chicago?
I've been in and out of Chicago since 1972.
That's a long time.
I was in Chicago from 72 till about 80. Then I was in Chicago from about 83 to 90. Then came back to Chicago in like 92, and I've pretty much stayed there ever since.
What year did you actually begin in radio professionally?
Well, let's define professionally. You mean like the very first?
Like you got paid?
Okay, I was a janitor at WOIA for $1.15 an hour. I would have been a junior in high school.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about your first on-air job as a jock?
That would be also in Ann Arbor, I believe. Yeah, on WOIA. They had one rock show a week, Saturday morning from 9 until noon. And they didn't have any service from the record companies, so the guy that I followed, who sort of broke me in on everything, named Tom O'Brien, had this deal with Discount Records in downtown Ann Arbor where he'd go down there and grab a bunch of 45s, play them on the air, give the store a couple of plugs, and then take them back.
Right.
Yeah. So that
was a common thing.
Yeah. That's where it was.
You worked with some heavies at WLS, Fred Winston and a whole bunch of guys, right?
Yeah. Do the people listening to this even know what we're talking about? I mean,
I hope so. Oh, yeah. The WIXY crowd is our crowd.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I worked with Larry Lujak, Bob Surratt, J.J. Jeffrey, Bill Bailey. God, I know I'm going to leave somebody out. Tommy Edwards. Geez, who am I leaving out, Art? Well, that's good. Von Daniels. I think that's about it. I mean, but I also worked later on. I worked on the same station with Jonathan Brandmeier. I've been on the air with Mancow. I don't know if people know who that is. I co-hosted I sat in on a show for him as a co-host. I've done talk radio on WLS. I've done talk radio on WGN in Chicago. And I've also worked at a little station in Michigan City, Indiana, WIMS. And now I'm on this station in Chicago.
You have been around.
Yeah, but in a very pretty much a small circle. You know what I mean? I didn't get any farther east than Toronto, and I've never been farther south than Cleveland, and that's not very south. And I've never been farther west than Chicago. So it's a small circle. And I worked in Allendale, Michigan. Well, actually, Grand Valley State College is in Allendale, and I went there initially and worked at a little radio station in Wyoming, Michigan. Then I transferred to Michigan State and worked at a station in Lansing before I got a big break, and went to Philadelphia. What am I saying? I was in Philadelphia. Forgot about Philadelphia. So forget that thing about Toronto being the furthest eastern city. I dropped out of college when I was a senior, and because I got a job offer from Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. You were in Cleveland for a while too, right?
Short while, not long.
What about Fargo?
Fargo. Fargo. I think I have a court order that does not allow me to actually talk about Fargo. But it's more than cold there. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. I went up there once and I had one really good day and one really bad day. Let's just put it that way. But I made a lot of good friends.
Well, we have a cue card coming in from the birthday boy.
Say hi to Barb in Georgia, who's listening. Oh, and is a John Landecker fan. Hi, Barb. Thanks for tuning in.
She's listening right now.
Wow. How do you know that? Did she email or something? Oh, my gosh. That's awesome. Well, that's great.
That's great. And, John, you've written a book about your career, right?
Yes, I have. And it's called Records Truly Is My Middle Name. And you can get it on Kindle ebook at Amazon.com, or you can go to Eckhart's Press, ECKHARTZ.com, and buy a hard, it's not actually hard, but it's a floppy copy. Let's just put it that way.
There you go.
And I'm in the process of putting together a companion CD to the book that will have, like in the book it says, I interviewed Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner, and they were funny. Well, on the CD, you hear Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner. So, it's a whole real experience. It's the real deal, yeah.
John Records Landecker, thank you so much for your time on WIXY1260. We do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Rock on.
Thank you so much. We are trying.
WIXY1260 Super Radio.
B.J. Thomas right now on WIXY1260, The Eyes of a New York Woman.
Just remember that.
Hurry up! What are we waiting for here? Act like you're got something important on the radio. What are you doing?
When the song's over...
What song? What are you playing?
We're playing a song right now. But if you put the phones on, you'll hear it. Remember how that works? Radio, it's the top 40.
You don't play songs on the radio anymore.
Song? What is that?
What's that?
What are we playing?
Elton John. Right there.
God, that's awesome.
Better than I Saw Life Fighting. Here we go.
Hysterical.
Let me intro it.
Let me intro it.
You don't know what I'm going to start to begin with.
The extra.
I'm gonna fix you. I'm gonna fix you good. You ready?
You
Put your phones on. Listen to what I'm gonna do. You can't hear it. You'll hear it. You'll hear it. Give me the phones.
Swing, Joey, swing!
Burn, baby.
Joey Reynolds Show!
What a show.
Reynolds Show!
All right. Can we talk?
You won't hear yourself. Talk. You won't hear yourself, but talk. You're on.
I'm on the air, huh?
Right
Sure?
now. Yep.
Kill the music. I don't want to hear my theme anymore. That's Frankie Valli. And, I'm Joey Reynolds on WIXY1260.
Again. All right.
This is where
Welcome back to WIXY, Joey.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome back to Cleveland, the mistake on the lake.
You got that right.
Well, I'm from Buffalo, the other mistake.
We now have Joey Reynolds, who actually worked at WIXY1260. He's up along with Lee Allen, who worked at WIXY in Detroit, WXYZ.
But discovered me at WIXY1260.
Let's hear the story. Lee Allen.
And took me away from WIXY1260.
Yes, he did.
And brought me to WIXY1270.
1270, that's
and
right.
And then threw my tired ass out. And Armin Baladian is here. Can you believe this?
Okay,
I can't believe. Are we on the air now?
Now we're on the air.
I can't. We weren't on the air before.
Yeah. Nope. You didn't have to switch.
Wait a minute, we just made the
Armin Baladian is here tonight, and I'm Joey Reynolds.
here.
I can't believe it. I haven't seen.
Records.
All
It's
right,
all
wait,
here.
wait. We gotta do this on the air.
New releases, by the way.
Wait, let's do this on the air. Let's do this on the air. This is WIXY1260's clone. This is the 2013 version of that radio station that miserably sat in Cleveland with 5,000 watts when everybody who owned the station was from American greeting cards. They had no idea about radio, so they hired me, and I came in from Buffalo, which of course, you know, I arrived in a plow, and they brought me to this very Jewish radio station. Was it WDOK or
DOK?
DOK, yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And they had this man who was like 100 years old doing the morning show, and he had a serious voice playing classical music. WDOK, beautiful music. Wayne Mack, yeah.
Wayne Mack.
And, you know, so I'm listening to this guy, and I'm thinking, God, he's really old. And you know what? Now I'm older than he.
Right.
It happened. But we're on the air here live. Armin Baladian, get in here. Where are you going? Come on, bring him back in here. He's not allowed to use the men's room. He's one of those guys. And especially if you're on Spirit Airline, it costs money to use the toilet. So there's a seating charge. You know. Now wait a minute, we're going to finish. We're going to finish. I'm moving the mic over to Lee Allen in a minute because then he can have it in his hand and say whatever he wants. But this is a very interesting night because we're at Art Vuolo's party with Shotgun Tom Kelly being the biggest show-off in history. You know, I mean, he has a big mouth and a star in the sidewalk in Hollywood. And
Does he have a shotgun?
No, he's a great guy. He's one of my best friends.
Why is he called Shotgun?
I don't know. You know, that's an interesting question because
It's up on YouTube, the whole story. Is it? From 3 years
I don't know idea, but I don't know. But we shouldn't be talking about him now. We should be talking about me.
Right. I don't want to be by him. If he has a shotgun, I don't want to be.
All right, so that's the voice of Lee Allen, one of the greatest disc jockeys in history. And Lee did the unthinkable thing actually it's the bravest thing that anybody I ever had in my entire career. Now, you know, I've worked at 40 stations. I've been fired from more places than Cape Kennedy. And I want to give you something here, a little bit of history. This is the man, Lee Allen. Now, let me tell you about him. We never got a chance to talk about this when we were on the air in Magic in Detroit a few years ago. We were on the air together. But I wanted to on the way home, I thought about this. And I meant to say it, but I never got it out. And I'm going to get it out now, even though we're on internet, which is a lesser medium than, you know, that over-the-air broadcast stuff that is owned by 6 creeps. Including Rupert Murdoch and his motley crew of thieves and liars.
You don't drop names.
I don't drop too many names. And Clear Channel, which is unclear at this point, and Cumulus, which is cloudy, and ready to rain on everybody's parade. So you know, we got a bunch of broadcasts.
Media that's not too great.
Greater media that's like half pregnant. And you know, the thing that we have got to do is to wrestle the radio and television back from these creeps. Now, you know, they made a deal with the devil about 40 years ago when they decided that they were going to turn radio, television into real estate. And what happened exactly was Gary Stevens, who was working at Keener, one of the Keener Wiener guys. You know, he's a guy who was at WKNR. He worked on a station, a company called Doubleday in New York, and they owned a station called Apple, which was a highly unsuccessful radio station that played music, no commercials, and still no one listened. But, you know, they sold the toilet that they owned, and what they did was they decided to bring bankers into the situation, Morgan Stanley specifically. And so the bankers came into the radio business through the mezzanine, and they provided mezzanine loans. Never was it allowed before because the FCC rules, since 1929 in this country, according to the Congress of the United States of America that runs the FCC,
You are supposed to serve a community. That's why you have a tower that only goes a certain distance. Not one station for everybody. Otherwise, we'd just...
licenses.
Or we'd all be on satellite. Who the hell needs all these little towers for? They're only being used by phone companies anyway.
You can serve the sky.
Yeah, right, exactly. Delta. There's another one of those airlines.
Never mind.
No, let's not go there. So what we did was we deregulated the airlines, deregulated the radio and television business, and now we're all broke. And there's 6 guys that got all the money, and 1% of America's got everything, and we're all bitching, every one of us. So what's left with us is what we're on right now, the internet.
Right.
And I'm buffering from buffering. So now, before I turn this over, I wanted to say that.
And there's one microphone.
Yeah, you're going to have it in a minute, and you can say whatever you want on it.
I mean, that's what we're left with. With this setup and one microphone, and there are 4 others, and they don't work.
All right, now let me famously go back to what I started to say. Art Vuolo, listen to this. It's happy birthday to you. It's you made this broadcast possible tonight. As far as your facility is concerned, which is less than desirable.
And we blame you.
But we want to thank you for the one mic. Listen to this, though. Lee Allen did the most unbelievable thing of anybody in the history of my career, and I will tell you what he did. No one has ever done this, and I don't know of anybody who's ever done this for another person that I could think of. All right, Lee Allen was the biggest radio star in Detroit. He and Joel Sebastian had the corner on television, on the 1270 Club. They were on WIXY1260. They were the top disc jockeys in America, too. It's 5th largest city at the time, and they were the biggest jocks, and they were great on the air. Two different kinds of guys. And Lee Allen, the kids loved. They had remote broadcasts from Walled Lake that were very popular and famous. They were just excellent. And Lee surrendered his throne, his position, got out of the way to give me a job. No one has ever done that. I mean, he really was on top when he left, see. He could have stayed on the air and gone on, maybe until now. But he got out of the way. He came to Cleveland, and he hired me. And he away from WIXY, WIXY1260,
right.
And he put me on the radio. And he surrendered that space, which was his, which I screwed up. But that's the true story.
Now let's hear it.
And here's your side.
Well, I was there in Cleveland, unfortunately, in those days. I was there to listen to Martin and Howard, who were on KYW in the morning, right, because ABC had it in their minds that they had to hire Martin and Howard. So they sent me to Cleveland to listen to them. I don't know why, because no matter what I said, they were going to hire them anyway. So I was there, and they were very good. Didn't work in Detroit, but they were very good. After Martin and Howard were finished after 2 years, I sold Specs Howard my broadcast school, and now I get the chance to work in this studio. Anyway, yes, what I was going to say was, so at the same time, I had nothing to do at night. They put me up in a cheap hotel, ABC, and so I had nothing but the radio. And I was looking for 1270, really, and I couldn't find it because we were across the lake. And so up came WIXY1260, and I heard Frankie Valli singing Joey Reynolds. And I thought, what is that? All the years I've been on the radio, nobody ever sang my name. And Frankie Valli is singing Joey Reynolds. So I waited, and the thing that confused me was that the Joey Reynolds theme song talked about him being on radio and TV, and he was only on the radio. But, and so I thought, I'm going to go to the television set and see if I can find him. But he wasn't there, because in those days, in 1964 or 5, there were only 4 television stations, and he wasn't on any one of them. So we had to take care of that with Frankie Valli, because if you don't take that out, then you can't be one of the Jersey Boys. And so anyway, I heard Joey Reynolds on the radio.
Records is back.
And like they said in the old comedy days, but seriously, folks, I never heard anything like it. And I grew up in Detroit. I listened to all the people in Detroit. I listened to, it was terrible. No, it was, no. I had never heard anyone as brilliant and spontaneous as Joey Reynolds.
That hasn't changed either.
And in fact, I realized when I listened to him that wherever he went in his career, if they gave him an open mic, he was going to be in trouble. But I came back to WXYZ, and I told Mr. Fritz, Chuck Fritz, who was the vice president general manager in those days of WXYZ ABC Radio, my opinion was, and I hope Specs isn't back in Cleveland listening to this, that they should not hire Martin and Howard, not because they were bad guys, not because they were not talented, but because the humor that they had already been done in Detroit. It was not humor that, at that time, Detroit, which was a very hip city at the time, think about it, we were in the middle of the Motown music explosion. Things were happening on West Grand Boulevard. There was WXYZ. Keener was happening. CKLW was about to. JBK had died. But there were all these talented people, really talented people on the radio. Even if Gary Stevens was about to go to work for a print company. But, sorry, Gary. Anyway, I told Chuck Fritz that we had to hire Joey Reynolds because on Halloween Eve of 1963, something happened in the Detroit market that will never happen again. And I'm sure everyone in this room who is familiar with radio remembers. I was at the old Walled Lake Casino doing those dances, Joey. And they came on at midnight. And they said, "This is WKNR, New Radio 13, where in exactly 24 hours, the Battle of the Giants begins." And it went on. And they played music, and there were no commercials. And so it was WKMH is what this, so the next night, when we were all out doing our broadcasts and all of that at Walled Lake Casino, the kids came up and said, "Listen, Lee, have you heard the new radio station?" And we said, "Yeah, well, that's WKMH. They just changed their call letters." And they said, "Oh, yeah, right. But have you heard the new radio station?" And so it began. And it was 1310. Which you could not hear on the east side of Detroit, and all the things against them, but that revolution happened. That was Halloween of 1963. It wasn't much later than that than I heard Joey Reynolds in Cleveland and came here to Detroit, and there are people today, even with the comparatively short period of time that Joey was with us, that remember Joey and remember what he said and what he did and remember him. And that's what needed then to happen and what should happen now in radio, should it not? When you do something that people will remember, and then you don't have to give the call letters every 5 seconds. If you do something, you don't have to give the time and the temperature and the call letters, and you don't have to beg for phone calls if you're a talk guide and keep saying the phone number because nobody's calling. And so Joey was the most talented person that I had ever heard doing any format. Because the secret of a format, no matter how tight it is that if you can insert your personality within the rules, you win. And he did. And the town was listening. Time passed, and the basic mistake that I made in those days, I was only the program director, but the mistake that I made was not putting, are you ready? Putting Joey Reynolds on in Morning Drive. That's where he should have been. And if he had been on in the Morning Drive, there would be a statue out in front of Volo's house tonight. and the most famous Reynolds would no longer be Reynolds Rap. It would be Joey Reynolds. I'm very serious about that. I wrote that in my book. that I should have put him on in the morning. I should have gone after ABC and insisted that happened, and then it didn't happen. I knew that they were going to change that radio station because of the contract and the money that they gave to Martin and Howard. Nice guys. Martin and Howard and Ray Keppen, who was the producer, they all came to Detroit. But because of the dollars that they paid, I knew that they were going to change the music, and they did. They started playing, and I love his music, they started playing Tony Bennett. And forgot about the Beatles and Chuck Berry. You know what I'm saying? And so when they did that, then, well, they had to change some of the rest of the station and the rest of the station. And within months, that station was known as The Good Life. And The Good Life, the most famous Good Life was one record by Tony Bennett, not that station. And so there were many, many years afterwards. But just in closing, a few years ago, I went to New York, excuse me, and I was invited to be on with Joey on WOR because I had a book and we wanted to talk. I listened to him here in Detroit when he was doing WOR. Verdict, the same. Still the most talented, introspective, intelligent presentation I've ever heard, because he was no different on the air than he was off the air. And he should be on the radio now, somewhere in this country. So who's running WIXY these days?
We are.
Hire him. Get him on the air. Put him. Huh?
It worked once. It worked once.
I'll tell you what you could do. I could go into the vault and pull out my horn and give it to Joey, and that'd be the end of the story. Yeah.
You did it once before. Thank you, Leo. Oh, that was so sweet. I'm going to have Art Vuolo cry.
Again?
Yeah, I'm going to cry again.
We gotta get some air in this room.
Yeah, we.
What? Why, are you wanting to move us out of here?
Yeah.
Why?
Why? Yeah, this is great. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
Open the door. This is a guy who doesn't know how to produce a Tonight Show. Open the door. Yeah, let's bring out the next client. Come on. You know, I called Jay Leno, who I like very much. You know, when you see him in person, he's really funny with monologue, and when he used to write his own stuff, he's even better. But you know, that's a trailer park.
That late night show, because all it is trailers, movie trailers. And we're in a horrors market right now.
You know, NBC, I worked for 3 times, you know, and I mean, I don't mind admitting this, and I'm sure they do. NBC was owned by General Electric, they were owned by Universal Pictures, and now by Comcast. They were owned by a cable company.
Yeah.
So, you know, here you got this company that really started television. They started it. And they have only one way to go with their ads, that they could go where no one else could go. You know, no one on this planet could do what NBC could do with their promos for the fall. All they have to say is, we invented the goddamn thing. That's all they have to say. Because they invented television. You know, what are you doing? Well, you're not competing with anybody. You put the goddamn thing on. That's right. That's all you got to say. And that's the end of it. You know, but here they want to take this dog and pony show with Howard Stern. They finally, finally he got his wish. He got to kiss some guy on the lips after a year. He kissed Howie Mandel on the lips, so, you know, he got away with what he always wanted to do, which was to be sexual on the radio or television. And, you know, I mean, everything with him ends in the crotch anyway. So here he is on the on this wonderful show, this circus act, this freak show, this America's Got No Talent show, and that nobody ever wants to criticize. And, you know, and here's what they do. Here's how they do. First of all, they don't pay anybody. So let's start with that. Except for those 3 crows. You know, do you ever see the movie Dumbo? Do you have kids? You know, there's crows on the fence that are criticizing Dumbo and everything. That's what they are.
I think I knew him.
That's what?
I think Dumbo, I think I knew him. Yeah.
So the show, this America's Got Talent, the reason I'm bringing it up is you have a show where these people couldn't do what anybody else who's on the show can do, and they're criticizing them. You know, as if, who gave them the judgmentship? Whoever said, you know, hey, you know what, you're in charge. You're God. You tell us what we like and what we don't like and what's good and what's bad. So they got these, what is it, 3 or 4 people there that sit there and tell all of us what they think. Well, there's like 90 million people who think, and maybe not the same. But you know, if I had a daughter, I have two of them, and they ever wanted to be on these television shows, and any one of these guys made fun of her or them, I'd have to shoot him. I'd have to kill the guy to ruin my daughter by telling her she has no talent or she's not ready or someone's better than her. Get out of my face, I'm going to kill you. So, you know, the thing is, we're living in a society with critics. And we're sitting on the fence like those crows in Dumbo. And we're watching this television show. Here's what NBC does now. They take 2 hours of prime time to promote the next night of 2 hours of prime time. And they use these people who are essentially not being paid. And I would like to see us be paid and do these shows ourselves as talent. You know, we're all in this industry. So I'm fighting for that. But the other thing, too, which is paralleled with it, in the way that we're living now, is with the airlines being deregulated. You know, that this stupid Spirit airline started charging for bags and nobody stopped them. And they charge $45 for a bag, to carry a bag on a flight. So I said to these people the other day, I said, you know, I made the reservation, I carried the bag, I brought my own food, because it's $3 for a Diet Coke. You know, I mean, they found a way. I tell you, if the plane's going down, you got to pay for that cushion under the seat. You know, they're going to swipe your card across as you're dying. Spirit Airlines. So here I am now, you know, in the overhead bin, which is the best seat in the house, and I got my little repair kit with me, you know, and I'm thinking of this, and I said to the people at Spirit, I said, you put 3 people out of work today. I made my reservation, so there goes a travel agent. I carried my bag, there goes a baggage clerk, and I brought my food. There goes the catering. So you put 3 people. You wonder why America's out of work. Tell the airlines to go blow. You know, I mean, so that's that situation. But we got the same thing in television and in government. You know, can you imagine government is telling you that they may shut down? Shut down what? Stop all the wages for all these clowns that are in there. You know, all the congressmen and the senators, don't pay them. And then you keep the money and we can run the country some more. That's it. Anyway, am I done?
You're done.
You don't want any more?
I gotta say something.
Oh, John Landecker. John Records Landecker.
Yes, that's right. I would just like to...
There's only one mic, John.
That's all we can afford. I would like to echo what Lee Allen said, because Lee Allen said that in his book about Joey Reynolds, and coincidentally, without talking to Lee Allen, I wrote a book. And also in my book, without talking to Lee Allen, I said that Joey Reynolds was by far the most talented person I had ever worked with. Thank you very much.
Wow.
Yep.
Thank you, John Records Landecker. And thank you, Joey Reynolds from WIXY1260 and Lee Allen from
Why are you
WIXY1270.
wrestling me for the mic? Why are you trying to move this along?
He's a program director.
You're on an unlimited show. Do you have a time limit here?
Yeah, no, of course not.
Oh, yeah, all right.
You know something? I think John Landecker has learned from many program directors who said, shut up and play the music. He only said 5 words.
They're the right 5, though.
Yeah, but they were the right 5.
They were the right 5. The correct
Guys, thank you very
sequel.
much. Joey Reynolds from WIXY1260, Lee Allen from WIXY1270, WXYZ in Detroit.
John Landecker.
And John Records Landecker from WLS in Chicago. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
Who's next?
The birthday boy is next.
Let's get him in here.
That's why he's giving us the line. You know why he doesn't want to run out of tape?
I'm playing music. All right. Come on, Arthur. You're next.
Next victim. Next person.
Oh, John, thank you. That was very nice.
Well, you know I said that. I told you.
Lee, thank you so much.
Thank you. 2 men talking.
It is 10:32 in the nighttime
The man said,
with a remote broadcast
Joey,
live
how
from
about
Novi,
going to church,
Michigan.
with me
Coming
this
up
week?
next, we're going to talk to the birthday boy, Art Vuolo, who has
So
a
I
house
have
full
an
of famous
appointment. I've
disc
got to
jockeys, and it's going to be great.
How
Stand
about next
by.
Sunday? No, you know, I'm going to be in Nova Scotia next Sunday.
Sad thing is, that's what the station needs.
WIXY1260, bringing back the good times, and that's what we're doing tonight. That's Lighthouse from 1973 on one fine morning. We now have the birthday boy himself, Art Vuolo, who was nice enough to do a show for us on WIXY last November. Art, it's all yours.
It's all mine. There's a delay in this.
Take the headphones off.
I can hear myself
Take 'em
like
off,
a
take 'em
second
off.
later. It's making me go crazy.
Take 'em
I
off.
told you.
Anyway,
Somebody told me.
Right.
John Landecker says you're going to take those headphones off because it's going to make you crazy. You were right, John.
John Landecker just figured out why I don't have a job on radio right now. I gotta get him to say it. John, tell him what's going on.
I don't know if I was to say that.
Hi, I'm Joy Reynolds. I'm here for a job interview. Let me tell you what's wrong with your effing radio station.
That's not how to interview, is it?
You cannot say effing on the air unless you're talking about Effingham, Illinois.
This is internet.
Where they serve that effing ham at the restaurants every day.
Okay.
Anyway, I stole that from Bob and Tom. I'll be honest, okay, you know. But anyway, yeah, it's my birthday on Monday, so we decided to have a big old party because University of Michigan wasn't playing football, nor was Michigan State, and they were both in a bye week, so we decided let's do this.
Yeah.
And Ray said let's put it on the air on WIXY, and I'm really glad that we're able to finally get everything to work. It's been a tough struggle, but we have a lot of people here tonight.
Yes.
And to
Great.
still have John here and Joey and Shotgun Tom.
Dick Burton.
Dick Purton, Michael Lee Allen. I mean, I'm freaked out by the number
Pat
of people.
Clausen.
Pat Clausen is here. He knows where all the bodies are buried in Washington, D.C., that is. And he's an investigative guy on radio and television. And I'm just glad to be here. It's been a lot of fun, right?
Art, we love having you, and thanks for inviting us and WIXY1260 to broadcast from here tonight.
Well,
Been great.
I got a little studio down here in the basement, and so if you're out there listening, come on by. I have a lot of food, and I want to give it all away, okay? So, anyway, Joey, any party words? Watch out, we're not going to go overtime.
You went from, we went from entertainment all of a sudden into some sort of a telethon. You know. Change the whole format.
Radio
Leave it alone. Pat Clausen, come over here for a minute. Why? Let's turn this back into what it ought to be, which is Art's wonderful birthday party. He's a great friend. He is radio's best friend, and he really is in charge usually of taping all these things that we all are capable of doing as far as entertainment is concerned. It doesn't matter about the telecamera and start selling these tapes.
Art does it. What
It'll
the
make it
hell?
real vulgar. So Pat, come on, you got to be on camera.
That's
Why am I on camera?
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
That's the whole idea, is to show your puss.
All right.
There we go.
Pat
Beautiful.
Clausen
Beautiful.
There was a long time ago in a galaxy far away, Ted Turner started the network, and he was very, very naughty because he decided that he was going to do something on cable that wasn't being done on over the air, which was to have a good news network, which now they ruined, but that's beside the point. So Ted did this thing, and he started the network of CNN out of Atlanta, of all places, and made it work. And it was the envy of everybody because the thing caught on and became a big success, as you know, and CNN is respected around the world. And even though Larry King, who looked a little bit like the fist on William Flower's hand, the madam, but they got away with it, and they did this whole thing. Now Pat Clausen was on the ground floor of CNN, and let's ask about that, okay? How did that start?
Well, when I worked for CNN, the C stood for cheap, not for cable. Cheap News Network. And, it was a bunch of renegades that got together. I mean, the large group of people that helped form CNN in the early years were people that came out of independent TV. They were not part of the networks. They had a completely different mentality than the networks. And we used to have really sharp elbows to get into places. Once I was at the White House up on a riser, and the union guys from ABC and CBS and NBC, they all hated us because we were non-union. And I had a cameraman from one of the other networks come up and actually physically take up our sticks and throw them aside. He put his up, and I hauled off and I knocked him in the guts and knocked him about 12 feet off the riser. It caused quite a commotion with the Secret Service, and we put our sticks back up and we started shooting. You had to have rough, tough times in news in the beginning at CNN. When I was at the network, we were doing actual original investigative reporting, which is what I did there, Joey, as you know. Organized crime, terrorism, espionage, digging into the real dark side of stuff. We used to do a lot of that. You don't see that on TV anymore.
Sounds like a DJ convention.
Yeah, it is. And
Right.
TV news has gone kind of the same way that radio has gone. It's really sad.
All right, now what do you think we could do now that we're talking about what we want to do with radio. We want to make this fun again. And you know what? My idea is to take some young people, not myself. I've done this already. Take some young people to come in here with the music they like and play the music, and not have a program director or a music director or a researcher or anybody who has any idea what belongs on the radio except for the guy that's doing the show.
Well, you know, Joey, that's what we did back in the 60s and the early 70s here at Detroit at WABX, where I used to work at. One of the original freeform stations in the country. ABX, we didn't have a playlist. We played what the jocks wanted to play and what the listeners wanted to hear. And
what a concept!
And
what a concept!
Well, so the same thing applies with news, isn't it? I mean, you got a young buck news guy like even Geraldo Rivera at the beginning. You know, I mean, he was on local ABC television in New York, and he ran after a judge and cornered him on some of his crap.
And he did the famous Willowbrook stories about the abuses in the mental asylums in New York. And those were really what
he also did Al Capone's Vault.
And he did Al Capone's Vault. Right. Well, you know, everybody's got a reasonable amount of malarkey.
Look, here's the reality. We got a bunch of old dinosaurs sitting here around the table talking about what radio was. It's never going to be that again.
Did I ever say that?
I'll tell you where the future in this business is and what we ought to be embracing. We ought to be fighting like hell for wireless broadband internet in the car. All right?
You got it.
And we need to be fighting these phone companies over their data caps. That's the only thing that's holding wireless internet really back now, is the fact that the phone companies have got you by the balls, and they're charging you for every bit that you're downloading. Once you get rid of that kind of a charge and this stuff begins to flow like water, you're going to see an entire renaissance of audio entertainment, which is really what the radio business was all about. And you're going to have not just one station in your car, you're going to have a million stations.
Yeah.
And content will always, always prevail.
So what's changed is I got dumb and the phone got smart.
Well, I don't know if you ever got dumb. I don't think you've ever been at all. But the problem that killed radio was greed. Wasn't the government. Wasn't the government, all right? It wasn't changing technology. I mean, when I was at Radio and Records for years, covering the business side of the radio industry, I saw it happen, beginning in the mid-'80s and progressing forward. And what happened was this Wall Street mentality took place in a business that had been run by families and by sole proprietors. And there was some good to that. It brought some money to the business. It helped modernize some things in the business. But suddenly you began to realize that radio stations in America were no longer being programmed to serve the public interest. They were being programmed and operated to satisfy the quarterly earnings expectations of about a dozen guys at securities houses in Midtown Manhattan and Wall Street. And that's it. We don't program radio stations. We don't run them anymore to serve the public. We run them to satisfy the quarterly earnings expectations of Wall Street. That's what it's all about. And that's what's killed radio.
Oh, you're great. You're great. I'm glad that we stopped him. All right, aren't you? Stopped him in the hall and put him on the air here?
Yeah.
You learned
And I got to tell you, I really wanted to come here to see Art tonight because I know that this is going to be one of the last opportunities we're all going to have to get together to pay tribute to Art before he completely goes senile and forgets all the rest of us.
Yeah, and the other thing is I'm glad that I came here to pee in the stream.
Pardon me?
The stream.
Bad. Oh, the stream. Bad, Joey. Okay, thank you.
Bad, Joey. Senile is what you do when you go to Egypt.
Okay, thank you.
We got more room shots here. Hey, listen, seriously, it's been a lot of fun. I know you guys are listening for a lot of music, but tonight we just wanted to get a lot of these really talented people on the air. I am so honored that this many people found my house buried in this subdivision. Here in the north end of Novi, Michigan, and those listening on 102.1, which we are putting it out over the radio. I should have said that, should I? Anyway.
I forgot to mention the fact that Meyer has catered this party.
Yes, Meyer chicken and a lot of good food. Come on over.
And Art's the only person in the world that still writes out checks at a grocery store. Rob Milford has to be mentioned here. Do you know
Yes,
Rob?
I know Rob very well. Great guy.
Why does he keep getting fired? Let's talk about him behind his back.
I don't have a clue why he keeps getting fired. He had a problem in Pittsburgh, I think, where he took a gun into a courthouse by mistake.
Yeah, start.
Yes, that was right. Rob, native of the Detroit area, he is one of the best broadcast news people in this country.
So why don't we have guys like that on the air, men and women,
Because they don't want to pay you, and they don't want good content on the air anymore. Anytime a general manager or better yet a group head walks into a station and he sees live bodies there, the first thing that comes to his mind is expense. You know, we have in Flint one last news director in radio, and he doesn't really report, he just kind of hangs around the station. And about a week ago, he got his hours cut from 40 hours to 29 hours. Jeez. Thank you, Obamacare. And they cut his pay from $9 an hour to $8 an hour. How can you possibly get competent people producing quality programming for that kind of money? You just don't.
All right, there was a great article about Dick Biondi in the trade papers this week. And I think it was done in Chicago. There was a write-up about it.
It was on NPR. He was on All Things Considered.
Yeah, John Simon, wasn't it?
Scott Simon.
Scott Simon.
On Saturday morning.
Dick Biondi was a great, well, first of all, he's a great guy. He was a great disc jockey. And you know what? He had a little retirement party for himself once. I think he went down to North Carolina and played golf for about a year. And then he came back into the action again, and he never quit. He's still there as a jock.
Joey, I just got a text sent to me by my friend Mark Wolandarski in New York City. Works for the transit system in New York, and he just said, sounding great, and he is very close friends with Dick Biondi and thinks the world of him. And this guy is only like 29 years old or so.
Well, what we got to do is we have to get rid of demographics. It started after World War II. All of a sudden we decided that if you super serve a certain age, you'll be able to sell your crap. And you know what? It's been working that way because we made it work that way, but it doesn't work that way anymore. Because first of all, now the internet has opened it up for everybody, and you know the menu is full, so there's a lot of choices, and you can have whatever you want for as long as you want. You can store it, you can restore it, you can change it, you can talk to it, it talks back to you, you can add other people to it, and you know what? The game is different. So I don't think it has anything to do with age. Do you?
No, I don't think it has anything to do with age. Not at all. But, you know, again, the problems that we've all got facing this industry that we have loved, it's just been completely corrupted and corroded by raw, naked greed. Raw, naked greed. That's what's killed this thing.
Yeah, but how do you stop greed? I mean, greed is like ego. It has no top, it has no bottom. How are you going to stop it?
Well, you can't necessarily stop it. What you can do is you can control it a little bit. One of the things that I think ought to happen here is I think the government ought to reinstate some of the ownership caps.
Competition.
Wait, here's John. Go ahead.
If there were competition between radio stations, that would be the end of it. You wouldn't be having these conversations anymore. But when they passed that ownership act and one company could own a zillion stations, fire everybody on all the stations, have one guy run 20 stations, I mean, there goes the edge, there goes the creativity, there goes the people, there goes the competition, and then you're just left with people who want to program to the stockholders. But if stations had to run on their own like they used to, and you know the WKNRs had to compete with the WXYZs, and the WCFLs had to compete with the WLSs, guess what? You'd have some really good shows. Thank you very much, and good night, America.
And John, it's Art Vuolo again here, and I just wanted to mention that when you mentioned WKNR, just to give you an example, a Clear Channel thinks so little of AM radio, apparently, that they turned what was WKNR, 1310 AM, a 5,000-watt radio station, day and night in Detroit, a big market. They turned it off at New Year's Eve at midnight, switched off the station, and 5 days later, they plowed over all 6 radio towers along I-94 between Telegraph and the Southfield Freeway.
My God.
That's the truth. And there's a video of that on YouTube, so it's a sad, sad commentary.
You know, part of the problem with radio right now is that as I travel around the country, every station and every market sounds alike. All right, on AM radio. They're all carrying the same right-wing nuts, okay, pontificating, and I'm a political conservative, and I got to tell you, some of these guys embarrass me, some of the stuff I hear on the air, but they all sound alike. They all sound like they've been cloned. And when you listen on the FM band, it's sterile. There's no personality. All it is music and spots, and spots, and spots. And did I mention spots? I mean, when I'm hearing 20-minute stop sets, that is a little bit excessive, I do think. You know, what we need, too, is some more programming diversity. You know, we need some fresh thinking, and that's going to come out of the Internet, where you're going to get new formats. You've got to have wireless Internet broadcasting take hold. And you're going to have all kinds of formats going, you know, like gay country and rap weather radio, and God knows what else is going to happen here.
You know,
wait, here's John again. I want to hand the mic over so you're not off mic, John.
Thank you for that broadcast instruction, Joe. This thing about the broadband. I have an iPhone. I have apps for probably radio stations in every major city in the world possible to get on the iPhone. I have Bluetooth in the car. I have whatever radio station I want coming through the speakers of the car with the radio off. Okay? So I totally agree with you about this broadband thing. You know, they're talking about, oh, you know, we're going to have satellite radio. Give me satellite my ass. You know what? All you get on the internet, you got it all. You know it's there. And
even WIXY,
the broader it gets, the faster it gets, the more universal it gets. When it gets into cars, it's over.
Well, let me
tell you what. In January, I met with the FCC chairperson at the time, Skanikowski, and he was trying to get commonize AM and put it on broadband because they're not using that band. After television has gone to digital, there's a lot of space, and that space could go to one of two places. It could either go to AM, coming into the same sound stream, which I peed in, as FM, have that same stream. Or it could be used for telephone sound improvement, which is a rental. You know, they don't want to pay for that. AT&T is not going to do that one. But you know what? The fact of the matter is that he quit because the Congress, he said they're still programming the radio on the Titanic. He said, you know, they're not in this generation. They're just not here. And you know, when you got a lot of elected officials who don't know what they're representing, or no one really represents us properly, it's lobbying. Right? You're in Washington, you know that.
Well, I'm in Washington, I'm in Lansing here, lobbying here in Michigan a great deal all the time. And I got to tell you, the loudest voices are the ones that tend to prevail, and especially the loudest voices that have the largest checkbooks to be able to make campaign contributions.
Yeah.
Getting back to this mobile broadband thing, that's the future of the radio industry as we have thought it. But here's where it's being held up. It's being held up to a limited degree technologically right now because there's still some problems with signal propagation over wide areas that don't quite match what we've had with FM or AM in the past. That can be solved. The biggest problem is a financial and greed problem on the part of the wireless internet carriers like Verizon, all right? You know, that's a good one to name right there off the bat. And AT&T that have put up these data caps on users as to how much information that they can download. And as long as there is a tariff there limiting how much you can listen to before you start experiencing obscene charges, this entire industry is going to be throttled in the crib. Yeah. I'll tell you right now, at home, I'm working at my home office. Most of the time, I'm listening now to internet radio. I'm not listening to terrestrial radio. One of the best internet radio stations that's popped up in recent months is down in Toledo. Jeff Lamb with ToledoClassicHits.com doing a fabulous job on the area, on programming what we used to think of as radio. But until you remove these data caps and these barriers, you're going to have problems. The other area, too, that the phone companies are fighting like hell right now, and did I mention Verizon? Verizon is fighting in federal court right now to stop the FCC from having what are called net neutrality rules, network neutrality rules, saying that that's an impingement on their freedom. What network neutrality is it regulates internet data feeds the same way that you regulate telephone data feeds, and that everything passes through the system on an equal basis. What the phone companies want to do is they want to start charging you priority charges to have your data packets sent out over the internet so that they can come up and say, Joey, you've got a great internet radio station, but we want to charge you $50,000 a month so that people using the internet can get your packets. And those of your competitors, well, if they don't pay that, their packets might get delivered at a slower data rate or a slower rate of receipt, okay? But you're willing to pay for priority delivery and priority access on the internet, we're going to give it to you. That's going to kill this internet radio business right in the crib.
Well, if we want to save this country, you know, to save the postal system, for instance, we got to have Spirit Airline ought to run it. And then the other thing that would help, what are you grabbing the mic for? What are you, crazy? Take a mic out of my hand. No one ever's done that in my career. It's not going to start tonight either. Believe me, you're going to hand wrestle this like you do a bat in a game. Get out of here, you're playing for the Mets.
I have stock.
You're never going to win this one. All right, so anyway, here's the other deal. If you really want to win the country, one of the things that we will do... Listen, I've been through a lot of wars. You know, the reason I got divorced is because I text message during sex. You know, I mean, you just got to be careful about this high technology.
You haven't had sex since text messaging started.
Believe me.
Ding!
Yeah,
Ding!
you can text with 2 thumbs, can't you? But you can also do your sex with that. So what's going on now, Art? Why did you want this mic so badly?
I had a good line about Spirit Airlines, but it's passed.
Gonna grab the mic for me to give a bad one-liner.
It's okay.
Yeah. Well, you must have listened to Bob and Tom.
Oh! That's below the belt, Joey.
There we go. All right, anyway, we got a new priest at his church, and the guy was here tonight, and he said all the sex action is above the belt. Boy, do I have to teach this priest something.
At least Bob and Tom are funny.
Whoa! One for Art, the birthday boy.
Yeah. Well, that's okay, Art. I'm glad you like somebody who's living in Indianapolis and struggling with New York comics. But it's okay. We don't mind having other people who have success on the air.
Put the chime.
Put the WABC chime.
Just hit it.
Play a song.
No,
Okay.
What are you, a program director now?
It's my house, it's my birthday party, and I want to hear some
You want to hear what? Go upstairs if you want to hear
Art Vuolo Network.
Adam Faith.
Talk about
Adam Faith.
Take good care of her.
What a control junkie you
No,
are.
not
Oh my God. Hey, Art.
All right, or something.
Art,
Yeah,
thank you
it's all right.
for allowing this to happen here tonight. It's really been great.
He's saying thank you for allowing it to happen while he wrestles the microphone in my hand. Ray?
I want to thank all these talented people in this house who've been on the air with us tonight for their time and their stories and their memories. Thank you to everybody.
Pat Clausen.
Everybody. Pat Clausen, Joey Reynolds, John Records Landecker,
Say
Shotgun
hi
Tom
to
Kelly,
Rob
Lee
Milford.
Allen.
Rob Milford
Lee Allen.
Rob is listening down in Pensacola.
in Pensacola, Florida.
Lee
Very
Allen.
good. Lee Allen, right, thank you. We have had a ball, and how about some music on WIXY now? Something novel.
I don't know why.
60s on 6 and had fun with a lot of the birthdays. Some big names in there for birthday. You know, Wrigley's Chewing Gum. It's Wrigley's birthday. They always love that one in Chicago. And my friend Art Vuolo having his birthday today. Went to his birthday party. Let me just dial him so you can actually hear Art for his birthday. Today's his real birthday, September 30th. Calling Novi, Michigan. Happy birthday, Art Vuolo!
Oh, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let me call you back.
Hello? Hello? Hello, Art?
I can't believe you're calling me.
Uh-oh.
I was just talking to Crystal.
Oh.
And Crystal
Parker.
Parker from Sirius XM back in the day.
Yeah.
Did you have a good time at my birthday party?
Oh, I had a fabulous time. Just wanted to make sure I said happy birthday and what a great time it was.
Well, how about who are some of the celebrities that you were most impressed with that were there?
No, definitely Shotgun Tom, Joey Reynolds, having John Records Landecker, and I'll tell you, one of the things that really impressed me, so many people were around Dick Burton, and before he left, someone ran down and said, "Dick Burton wants to talk to you." I went, really? He wants to talk to you before he leaves?
Well,
that was so cool.
Let me tell you that Dick Burton was here for, I think, 5 hours.
Yes.
If you can believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's absolutely fantastic. So, well, listen, I'm glad you made it. You were one of my honored guests and one of my national personalities.
Oh, well, thanks a lot. I'm glad, and we'll do it again in 2 years.
Yes, but you're going to pay for announcing my age on the radio. We're going to tell everybody what year you were born, and the scam will be over, okay? Have a good one, Flash. Thank you.
All right, happy birthday, Art Vuolo, Novi, Michigan. He's radio's best friend, and thanks to Art, he sent a videotape years ago to XM at that time. It got me hired here.
Great Gold 1410 WHTG AM. It is 10 minutes past the hour of noon, and that means it is time for birthdays. Now let's talk about local birthdays. Now, I have a good buddy in Novi, Michigan, and his name is Art Vuolo, and you've heard him on the radio here a few times. He is known as radio's best friend, and he is having a birthday on the 30th. And he's having a big party at his house today with a lot of people flying in from all over the United States to be with him. It's going to be an all-day affair. Oh, my goodness. It's supposed to go all night long anyway, so we'll hear more about it later. But he's turning 69 on the 30th of September, so happy birthday to him. He is a good guy. He travels all over the United States filming and recording radio stations and TV stations and so forth. And he is indeed radio's best friend. So, happy birthday, my friends.